In-depth journalism in the Memphis community, the Daily Memphian is of Memphis, not just in Memphis, and seeks to tell the stories of this city. TheDailyMemphian.com. Truth in place.
The ruling on the field stands.
We deliver jerseys, funny foam fingers, and everything you need for the game. But what you really get is so much more.
FedEx Delivery.
Game day spirit. What we deliver by delivering.
Welcome to the Daily Memphian Tigers podcast. I'm Jonah Jordan, the Memphis Tigers football beat reporter, and today I'm joined by Drew Hill, the Memphis Tigers basketball reporter around these parts. How are you doing today, Drew?
I'm great. We got a busy week in front of us. It's going to be quite chaotic.
There's no news that has been announced in the last 2 days.
Not much going on in the world of Tiger sports. It's a real bummer, isn't it?
It's just like there's nothing happening. Okay, we haven't talked about this. I like surprising you with subjects. I purposefully have not talked about this. I want to know where you were when you saw the missed field goal.
I was inside of an apartment, actually in Tuscaloosa. I was watching the game. I went with my parents to homecoming, and that game was there for maybe 10 minutes at the most. Went back, wanted to watch Memphis, watched the entire second half very, very intently, and was like, I don't get nervous during Memphis games because I'm not a Memphis fan, but I just had a sense of what was on the line on that final drive, and I would be lying to you if I said that I didn't want Memphis to finally get that stop and make it happen. And I thought for sure he was going to make the field goal. But can we get that guy? Can we get what's his name? Jacob Rainey. Let's get Jacob Rainey, AAC Defensive Player of the Week.
It's just so strange because so many times I've watched Memphis be on the other side of that, where Riley Patterson is lining up for the field goal and he misses it, or the other team drives down and it seems like they score a touchdown that's backbreaking, like Temple did, or something happens where Memphis ends up not being able to win the game. It always seems like the break goes the opposite way. But now, as Memphis fans are seeing, to have this kind of season that you want to have, to be where Mike Norvell wants to be, to get to the Cotton Bowl, you have to have these kinds of breaks. Every team that has been there before has had a break. Something always happens in your favor that breaks the right way. So it broke the right way for the season. It broke the right way for game day. I think it's incredible. We've talked about it ad nauseum in the past. It's probably the best moment in Memphis Tiger football history. And I don't even think that's an exaggeration.
This is probably the biggest game, right? This has got to be the biggest regular season game.
Yes, because,
ever.
as people on Twitter have pointed out, it's the first time two ranked teams are going to be playing the Liberty Bowl, which in the past Memphis has been ranked against Ole Miss, but they weren't ranked in both polls. Memphis and SMU are both ranked in the coaches poll and the AP poll. First time that's ever happened. Then you add on the fact that this is for the Western Division. This is for a possible berth in the Cotton Bowl. There's so much writing, and it all happened because this poor kid missed a field goal. That's wild to me. It's incredible.
It's I hate to say it, but it's awesome that the kid missed. I didn't feel bad for him one bit. I know a lot of people did. Tulsa isn't playing for much at this point.
I feel less bad once I see the video of the kid. I don't know if it was the same kid who does kickoffs that does field goals, but one of their kickers whipping in and trying to ninja kick. Well, he did. He ninja tripped Chris Claybrooks, and it could have hurt Chris Claybrooks. Feel a little less bad for him. Kind of dirty. Kind of messed up. Not a fan of that.
I thought that the reaction from the team was amazing. Just to see the Tulsa coach was shocked, as you would expect, but Mike ripped the headphones off and go run it. They knew exactly what that meant, and that was pretty awesome.
How shocked can you be when he's already missed so many game-winning field goals this season? They should have gone for the touchdown.
But when it's that short, man,
I would have
kick it.
There is no way if I'm Philip Montgomery.
I bet you we could gather half of the high school kickers in this city, and if you line them up for, what was it, 29 yards? A 29-yard field goal, most of them could make it.
Okay, I'm calling it out. We're asking for
Let's gather all the kickers in the city.
Any kicker, CBHS, MUS, Jeffrey Wright, if you're listening, I bet you Jeffrey Wright can make a 29-yard field goal.
Maybe.
Do you think he could do it?
I don't know. I don't
kinda
really
wanna
have
see
any
it.
interest in whether or not Jeffrey can do it.
But
if I'm being
okay, so
honest.
high schoolers, anybody listening to this podcast, take a video of you making a 29-yard field goal. I will give you a Daily Memphian hat. I want it on one try.
Oh, wow. That's a...
I want it on one try. None of this
You're making
tomfoolery.
promises I don't know if we can keep.
I think we can do it. Yeah, I'm getting thumbs up. We can do it. We can make it happen. 29-yard field goal. If you can make a 29-yard field goal, I'll give you a Daily Memphian hat. I'll make it happen. I want a video. If you do it, if I feel like it took you multiple tries,
Does this
You're
have
not
to be
getting
in
a
a
hat.
game, or is this just
No.
like a video?
just go. I want the CBHS kicker to go out to the Tom Nick Stadium right now and kick a 29-yard field goal.
Okay.
I want to see it. I don't know if that's an NCAA violation. That may be.
Yeah, you
We
might
probably need
not
to
be
look into
allowed
that. We
to
may
do
not be
that,
able to allowed to
Jonah.
do that now that I think about it. That probably is frowned upon. I'm going to get in some trouble. We're going to look into that. Never mind. But okay. But what do you think about the Tulsa game? I mean, I thought it was in general, the defense wasn't great. Secondary struggled. The defensive line was not great. They really could not stop the run at all.
It was gut-wrenching. It was concerning. It was infuriating. And it was euphoric in the end.
All, yeah.
It's just amazing. It feels like Mike Norvell teams, now they haven't had a ton of success in the championship games. I get it. They've lost on some bad calls at the end of games. I get it. But it seems like when they need to win in the regular season to keep the dreams of their season alive, they just find a way to do it.
Yeah.
Like
And-
even after they lost last year and no one thought that they were going to go to the championship game, what'd they do? They just kept winning games and made it there. And I think you're going to see that on Saturday, which is my my hint at what my prediction might be.
We'll do predictions here in a little bit, but right now, I think this team and Mike and his staff in general get these players to buy into the idea of overcoming adversity, being resilient. And I think that is a testament to how good of a coach he is, that not every coach can get every single team to buy into this ideology, to buy into their message. Even great coaches like Saban and all these other people have trouble with it sometimes. Mike's only been here for 4 years, obviously. He may end up having trouble with it eventually, but for the most part, like, we've never seen these teams be like, these guys have quit. Like, I've never watched the Memphis team and been like, dang, this team quit. And I think that is a great, like, it's great for them. I like, that's incredible.
Yeah, no, it's been good to see. Kenny Gainwell is just, he's carrying them. It's amazing.
I have a take.
And he had that terrible fumble at the end of the game.
It wasn't terrible. Once you go back and watch the replay, it was a great play. It was terrible in that it happened, but
Yes.
it was a great defensive play because I thought he was holding it out too
it
far.
was terrible, and the timing was
Yes.
terrible.
Yes.
But then you hear Mike come in on Monday at his luncheon and say, oh, yeah, when Kenny got back to practice, he had that look in his eye like he wants to make up for that.
R.I.P. SMU.
Yeah, so that's encouraging. And I just want to know what's happened to all the Brady White haters, all the people
They're
that
gone
were
from
mad
my
at me.
mentions.
All the people that were mad at me for being too easy on
That
Brady White.
throw-
Where are you guys?
That throw, the 59-yard throw to DeMonte.
Great throw.
Strike. DeMonte got open. Boom, right there. And DeMonte talked about it a little bit today. He was like, yeah, the guy caught me from behind. He said, I turned my head back, and that guy turned on the Jets, and he was like, oh, man. But he did a great job of staying in bounds, the stiff arm to really kind of make it go a little bit longer because that could have ended way sooner. But great play. Brady White, man. Like, this is going to be the test, though. This right here.
Right,
He's had
like
two straight games.
Yeah.
And now this right here, one of the best pass rushes in the nation, the best pass rush in the AAC. Offensive line's a little banged up. Mike Norvell said he's not. It seems up in the air whether left guard Dylan Parham will be playing or not. Obeneze's at practice. I think he was a little banged up in the game the other day. But, man, like, if Brady White can come out here on the national stage and play as well as he has the last 2 weeks against SMU, it shuts everybody up, right?
Yeah, but like you said, he's not safe from the criticism against SMU. If he comes out and he plays like he did against Temple, everyone's going to go right back to criticizing him. So I say, where are the Brady White haters? But they'll be right back the second he starts making mistakes. Look, when you look at what he's done this year, numbers wise, you're right. When he's turning it over, he deserves criticism. But if you look at his passer rating, you look at his passing statistics, It's all there. I don't know what else you really can ask of the guy other than to maybe look like a better quarterback.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is the results are there, minus the turnovers. If he doesn't turn the ball over and the offense does its job and he makes the throws he's supposed to make, they're going to be fine.
The last 2 weeks, he's made some throws I've never seen him make in his career. Like he's made some throws in the last 2 weeks that he couldn't have made last year, and I think that speaks to how much he's grown, really. But I forgot my Kenny Gainwell take. I have a take. If he played at a Power 5 school, he'd probably be up for the Heisman. That's my take. He leads in yards from scrimmage. He's got 900. He's almost at 1,000 yards rushing this year. He has the most receiving yards out of any running back, despite having 0 last week. He had 1 dropped pass. I think that's his only dropped pass of the season. He has 2 fumbles. Like, the kid's stellar. Like, if you look at the Memphis game notes, it's mostly Kenny Gainwell stuff. Like, he's going to be the first Memphis running back to have 1,000 yards in a season. I think if he were at a Power 5 school, we'd be talking about
first
Kenny
Memphis
Gainwell.
running back to have 1,000
Memphis
yards.
freshman running back to have 1,000 yards. Because Darryl had like 1,800 yards last year or something crazy like that. But, I mean, it's incredible. And I think he should be. Like, people are giving him love on Twitter. He's finally hitting the national spotlight.
This is his time. If he's ever going to go up for the Heisman, and if that's ever going to become a reality of him getting highly noticed, this is your weekend. This is your stage right here.
200 and 200. Do it.
Is that a prediction?
No, it's not a prediction. It's that'd be awesome if it happened, but it ain't going to happen. No,
man, you're putting some high expectations on that.
No,
kid.
I think he'll probably have 200 rushing yards this weekend. But that's also how I think. So predictions, then we'll move on to basketball. What you got?
Predictions. As I alluded to earlier, if this game were at SMU, I would 100% pick SMU. They both played Tulsa close. SMU kind of struggled against Houston last week. I think the Tigers get it done close. Very close, and I will go 38-35 Memphis.
So they're hitting the over in your okay.
Yes.
I'm going 56-45.
You're going
Memphis.
way over.
I think that this has potential to be a lot like what we've seen from Memphis UCF in the past, where it's just like score, because these defenses have shown the propensity to give up a lot of points.
Oh, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of points.
There's going to be a lot of points. If one of these defenses shows up, I'm going to, they may win the game. My biggest thing, it'll come down to whoever wins the turnover battle and whichever quarterback gets sacked the most.
Yeah, and come back to me at the end of the week for the prediction, and I might change my mind. I think it's that close. Like, I think that these teams are that evenly matched when you're looking at them. But because it's at home, because it's in the Liberty Bowl, I just think that Memphis is going to find a way to just squeak one out.
Now we'll take a break for a message from our sponsor.
The Daily Memphian Tigers podcast is brought to you by FedEx. Possibilities. What we deliver by delivering.
So, CBU, Lemoyne-Owen, I think we've learned some things.
Yeah.
I think this team probably needs James Wiseman on the floor.
Yeah,
probably.
that would probably be a good thing for them. No, they have not looked great through 2 exhibition games. You just kind of got to call it what it is. That's the way Penny Hardaway has talked about it. That's the way, some of the other coaches behind the scenes have talked about it. They just haven't been what they were expected to be. And I think a big part of that is not having James Wiseman, but a lot of it is they're still clearly learning on the fly. There's a lot of directing going on the sidelines. Guys not really knowing where they're supposed to be.
That's a problem to me.
They're getting the rebounding and boxing out is certainly a problem. It's something Penny probably mentioned 15 times in the post-game press conference last night after the Lemoyne-Owen game. They got a lot to work on. They got a lot to figure out, and I think they realize that.
My big problem here is that you've had a long time with these kids. Like the rebounding, the boxing out, whatever, those are the things you're going to have to deal with in the course of the season. But the straight up not knowing where they're going is a problem.
Yeah, they're still young.
That doesn't matter.
This is a question that I asked Penny, and I said, last year you were also doing a lot of directing at this time of the year, teaching your new system to a brand new group of guys. And it felt like it took a couple games into the season. Granted, they did not have the Bahamas, right, last year. It felt like it took a couple games into the season for those seniors to figure it out. Is it different or is it the same now that you have all freshmen in their first year trying to learn your system? And the answer that I got was basically it is different with all freshmen simply because they don't even know the terminology yet. Like when he says box and elbow on defense, they had no idea what that meant before they got to college. So it's just going to take a while. And when you look across the country, Duke won their exhibition game against Northwest Missouri State or whoever the hell it was by 6 points. And this is just the reality of playing with young players and with freshmen. And I know people aren't really used to it quite yet, but this is just the way that it's going to be.
I think you've had a long time with them. You have Malcolm, you have Ryan, you have James, you have Alex, who've all been on this team before, who know how Penny talk, who knows what he's talking about. You'd think they'd be able to impart that to their teammates. Like I have trouble believing some of that, but we'll see as the season goes on. I'm sure they'll get better. I'm sure they'll continue to learn. I know it is part of the learning curve, but just completely not knowing where you're going on the floor, it's a little bit alarming. But I'm sure they'll get it together. It is just 1-0, and it is just CBU. They'll move on. Start the season. When do they start the season?
November the 5th.
South Carolina State. Damian Ball, concussion protocol. He's all good?
Cleared, going to play, or going to practice today. So coming up here in a couple hours from when we're recording this.
Yep. Isaiah Stokes.
Waiting on the waiver request to be granted or denied. I think based off of what's going on around the country with guys going home and getting cleared on their waivers, he might potentially have a chance to get that cleared. I don't know what he would look like in the rotation anyways. That would be interesting to see.
Okay. Boogie Ellis. He's not hurt, but what'd you think? He's hit a couple shots, missed a few. Lester Cannone, I saw, obviously also has missed a few shots. Just trying to get comfortable in the FedEx Forum, you think? Because I know that is also part of this learning curve, is playing in an NBA arena. It's different than their practice court. The backdrop is different. It's been different for shooters, obviously, and those two guys are shooters. What do you think?
I think it's more just jitters than it is NBA arena or whatever else you want to attribute it to. I think in general, those two guys have had sort of an up and down summer, and now beginning of the season, Lester looked great in the Bahamas at times. He hasn't shot the ball very well in these exhibition games, but he's rebounded really well, and it seems like Penny really likes his size, and he's a very confident kid, so I don't doubt his confidence at all. I think his shot will be back. I'm not worried about that at all. I think he's going to be a really good player for them and in a good spot. Boogie Ellis is a little bit different. He's playing a brand new style. He actually in high school mentioned that he played on the ball a lot more. A lot of people talked about him being a scoring guard and not really a true point guard when he got here, but that he was going to play point guard because that was sort of his path to the pros. Well, he's playing off the ball right now because it looks like Alex and Damian are, at least in the half-court setting, are going to be the two guys who have the ball in their hands playing point guard. That's going to take some adjusting for him. He's talked about it, but his spot-up shooting has looked great so far. He had a great game against Lemoyne Owen, and he's another guy where he gets in the post-game press conference and you can just tell he does not lack confidence at all. So if there's anything, it's a confident group. If there's anything that they are, it's that.
I think there's a lot changes for those two guys and Tyler once James comes back. Well, really, it changes for everybody, but especially these spot-up shooters, these guys who can come in and hit threes off of passes or off the dribble. I think Boogie's a little better off the dribble than some of these other guys, but I think once James comes back and the ball's kicking out, you can go weak side. Oh, this guy's open in the corner. It definitely seems like Penny wants the ball in the corner from what I've seen. The ball definitely seems to end up there a lot. Guys seem to end up open there a lot. I think James coming back will help that. But Precious, man, he's looked great.
He's looked great. I want to see him against bigger competition.
Because he's playing the 5 right now.
Yeah. I don't knock him at all because he's been awesome. Can't knock him anything that he's done because he's been awesome. And I think he's going to be a great player. But he should dominate against these teams because they're much, much smaller than him, and he's just physically
so
imposing against them. Right. So I want to see what he looks like when he goes up against a team like Oregon or a team with some bigger size. I think he's going to be an awesome player, but I don't know exactly if we've figured out what he is yet.
No, I think the moment where it was like, I think he had a moment in the first game against CBU where it was like, oh my gosh, he spun in the lane where he got the ball, made a dribble move, and then spun.
And honestly, that was something Penny was like, oh no, Precious, don't do that. Because he doesn't want him going one-on-one. He wants him playing team ball.
Yeah, but it's like, man, he's so athletic. He glides down the floor. You know, there are some guys who just move differently than others, and he's one of them. Like, he really just glides up and down the floor. He moves so fast. I've been so impressed by him from what I've seen. Anybody else you want to talk about specifically?
I mean, we got to talk about James, right?
Oh yeah, we did kind of just glance over that.
We got to talk about James. Here's what I'll say about James at this point, because I'm not reporting this. When Penny says he has an ankle injury, I'm sure he has an ankle injury. We watched him getting treatment before his first game. Last night before the Lemoyne Owen game, he's running, jumping, dunking, cutting. He looks fine. He looks like he's ready to go. He's doing a full-blown workout with the other guys that were out, with Isaiah Stokes and those guys. He looks like he could play. And so at this point, if we don't see him in that first regular season game, then I'm going to be very suspicious as to what is going on, because in the past, there's been times where players, it just takes them a little bit longer to get cleared, especially high-profile guys that the NCAA has had their eye on for a long time. And I don't know if that's what's going on here or what the deal is, but if he plays in that first game, which I think a lot of people are expecting him to play in, then I don't think there's anything to worry about. Then his ankle's fine and whatever. If he doesn't, it's going to be concerning because that ankle looked pretty good.
No, if he doesn't play in the first game, questions will arise.
Yeah.
Like, Penny will have to answer some legitimate questions after the game, because he's said, "Oh, we're going to have him back. Hopefully, we'll have him back. Hopefully, we'll have him back." He's been adamant that there is an injury, and we saw him get treatment. You mentioned that
clearly he
times.
did hurt his ankle. Yeah,
and he missed the Bahamas with it was shoulder.
Yeah, and that was supposed to be for precautionary reasons too. But it's just not normal to hold your best player out of all 6 games where he's finally supposed to play with his team and be around them in a game setting like that. None of these other teams, this is a point Gary Parrish has made on the radio several times, none of these other teams around the country are sitting their best players. So I don't know if it's just a precautionary thing or if it's up to James and James has just decided that he's not going to play, or what is going on there. I know a lot of people are concerned about it, but I think we're going to get a lot of answers next Tuesday when they finally step on the floor. If there's no James Wiseman, it's going to be pretty concerning, because you would think that it doesn't have to do with his ankle at that point, because he looked so good in warm-ups and all the media was there to watch him. We all saw sort of the same thing. His ankle didn't look swollen and he was playing pretty fast.
And I think that, do you think that Precious can play the 5? Say if James does miss some, he can continue playing the 5. Yeah,
they should have enough size at least to play South Carolina State, because you've got Lance Thomas coming off the bench at 6'10". He's done a good job protecting the rim. You hope he could get his rebound numbers up a little bit and get some more opportunities on the outside to shoot threes. But yeah, with Precious's rebounding ability and athleticism, put Lance Thomas in there too, you should be all right.
All right. Any changes to starting lineup? I figure once Damian Ball gets back, maybe he'll replace Alex. Or do you think we'll see a Damian Ball, Alex Lomax maybe starting lineup when Ball is healthy?
No, I think you're going to get 5 freshmen if everyone's available. Penny mentioned yesterday that they were missing 2 starters, Damian Ball and James Wiseman, which tells you he thinks Damian Ball's a starter. So I still expect that it's going to be Damian Ball. I think the only question that's kind of raised now, based off of the way DJ Jeffries has played in these first couple games and in the Bahamas, is he a starter? Is it Lester at the 3, or is it going to be DJ at the 3? I think that's probably the debate at this point. I think you're locked in with Boogie Ellis and Damian Baugh at the 1 and 2, and you're locked in with James Wiseman and Precious Achiuwa at the 4 and 5.
I'd go with DJ at this point. I mean, he's shown so much. He's shown the ability to. I mean, he flies up and down the floor. He can get rebounds. He can shoot. Like, he's impressed me so much. I mean, he's been the guy who I wanted to watch. I wanted to see him on a college basketball floor, and he's impressed me so far. I mean, I know the competition wasn't what it will be, but I still think that's important for him to go out there and do that against those teams. But anything else? Are we all good for today?
I think that's all we got. Everybody, I hope to see you down at College Game Day on Saturday. It's going to be a fun day. I know Jonah and I will both be down there.
If you see us, come up and say something. Absolutely. So you can find Drew on Twitter at DrewHill_DM and me at _Jonah Jordan. And you can find the Daily Memphian podcast, which are powered by the OAM network, anywhere you find your podcasts, whether it be iTunes, Stitcher, or Spotify.
We deliver tickets, team merchandise, and everything you need for the game. But what you really get is so much more.
FedEx Delivery.
Game day spirit. What we deliver by delivering.
In-depth journalism in the Memphis community, the Daily Memphian is of Memphis, not just in Memphis, and seeks to tell the stories of this city. TheDailyMemphian.com. Truth in place.